Maka meroi guang tu puni. A Makam shall be the king. In the misty hills of northeast India, in the early decades of the 20th century, a young visionary emerged from the Rongmei Naga community in Manipur. His name was Haipou Jadonang. To his people, he was not only a leader, but also a prophet, a warrior, and a voice of resistance against colonial rule. Rooted in the Heraka reform movement, he dared to dream of freedom, justice, and dignity for his people. His defiance and unwavering conviction marked the spark of a movement that would transcend generations. Even the British administration, represented by J.C. Higgins, the political agent of Manipur, who oversaw his arrest, trial, and public humiliation, viewed him as a formidable and unyielding symbol of resistance. Early life and context. Haipou Jadonang was born in 1905 in the remote village of Puiluan, also called Kambiron, in the Nungba subdivision of present-day Zeliangrong district, Manipur. He was the youngest of the three sons born to Theodai and Gaidinliu of Bolongdai clan. His elder brother was Mudunang Bolongdai, his younger brother Tiningam Bolongdai, and he had a sister named Sulunglu Bolongdai. Tragedy struck early. His father died when Jadonang was barely a year old, raised by his widowed mother Gaidinliu, who labored in the fields to sustain her children. Young Jadonang grew up amidst hardship, guided by her strength and faith. His childhood coincided with a period of turmoil for the Zeliangrong people, the Rongmei, Liangmei, and Zeimei clans. The Kuki Rebellion of 1917 to 1919, sparked by resistance to forced recruitment into the labor corps during the First World War, had devastated many Rongmei villages. Homes were razed, lives were lost, and communities lived in constant fear. In the aftermath, the British administration further consolidated its power. Taxes were imposed on subsistence households and forced labor, known locally as Laluk Khaba in Manipur and as coolie labor in Assam, became an unbearable burden. Many men conscripted as potters never returned alive. It was into this climate of grief, injustice, and suppression that Jadonang grew. The turbulence of his early years, tempered by hardship, resilience, and deep ancestral faith, laid the foundation for his prophetic vision and his defiance against colonial rule. Rise of a spiritual leader. As a teenager, Jadonang was drawn to spiritual practices. He spent long hours in meditation and prayer, often in the forest. His followers believed he was blessed with visions. He preached the revival of Heraka, the traditional Zeliangrong faith, purifying it from superstitions and uniting it into a strong cultural force. But Jadonang's vision was not confined to religion. He saw faith as a foundation for freedom. He began to tell his people, "Maka meroi guang tu puni." The land shall be ruled by its own son. A powerful prophecy, a dream of Naga Raj, an independent kingdom of the Zeliangrong people free from foreign rule. Jadonang as a social reformer. Jadonang worked tirelessly for social reform. He encouraged cleanliness in villages, unity among clans, and the dignity of women. He taught his people to stand against corruption and exploitation. His songs and teachings spread far beyond Kambiron, stirring hearts in Nagaland, Manipur, and Assam. To the British, however, his popularity was a threat. To the missionaries, his religious revival was dangerous competition. To the oppressive rulers, his dream of freedom was rebellion. The clash with the British. By the early 1930s, Haipou Jadonang had become synonymous with resistance in the Zeliangrong hills. He confidently called on his followers to stop submitting to house taxes and to refuse forced labor, and then began organizing youth into disciplined units. This rising influence could not go unnoticed. J.C. Higgins, the political agent of Manipur, labeled Jadonang a troublemaker, a prophet whose teachings threatened the foundations of colonial rule. The decisive moment came on 19 February 1931 when Jadonang was arrested at Lakhipur in Kachar while returning from a pilgrimage to Bhuvan cave in the company of Rani Gaidinliu and around 600 followers. Following his arrest, Higgins led a column of Assam rifles into Piluan village. They burned Heraka temples, looted weapons, and terrified the villagers with this show of force. Over the following weeks, Jadonang was paraded through villages, bound in chains, barely clothed, and publicly humiliated, as a message of deterrence to any who would stand with him. The procession reached Imphal on 19 March 1931, where he was lodged in the Manipur jail. Trial and execution. The trial of Haipou Jadonang was brief, unjust, and pre-decided. Though the colonial court accused him of murder and rebellion, the true barrier he posed to British authority was in his vision. A defiance born of spiritual revival and self-rule. 13 June 1931, he was convicted by a British Indian tribunal in Imphal, an outcome seen by many as a foregone conclusion. Early in the morning at 6 a.m. on 29 August 1931, Jadonang was led to the gallows on the bank of the Nambul River behind Imphal jail, a setting meant to be both punitive and symbolic. Eyewitnesses remember him standing tall and unwavering. Amid tears of grief, he comforted his followers. The land shall be ruled by its own son. Though the hills lost a brave son that day, his death became the seed of a resistance that would shape generations. The torch passed on Rani Gaidinliu. Among Jadonang's disciples was a young girl, only 16 years old, named Rani Gaidinliu. She took up his mantle, carrying forward the struggle for independence and later becoming one of India's most celebrated freedom fighters. But not only Rani. Jadonang's spirit continues in the voices of civil society organizations, in Zeliangrong movements, in academic writings, and in cultural revivals. His dream of unity, dignity, and self-determination continues to inspire generations. Relevance today. Nearly a century has passed, yet Haipou Jadonang's vision burns with the same urgency today. We, the Zeliangrong people, stand at a crossroads, facing poverty, corruption, disunity, and the unending struggle for true development. But his life reminds us of one eternal truth. Real change begins with courage, conviction, and sacrifice. So we must ask ourselves, are we living his dream? Are we standing firm for the welfare and progress of our people? Or are we allowing his legacy to fade into history's silence? Haipou Jadonang once declared, "Maka meroi guang tu puni." The son of the soil will reign. He fulfilled his part. He gave his life. Now the question remains, what will you do for the greater good of our society, for the future of our people, for the legacy of freedom?